This channel may feature copyrighted video and audio content under the guidelines of fair use permitted by copyright statute for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. All content and credit go to the original creators. No copyright infringement is intended. Shout out to everybody in the building and everybody on the replay. So we got a lot to talk about today because Patel, he has a testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee. And this actually started already at 9 o'clock. We're going to start from the top. Welcome in, everybody. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe this video to this channel. What are we doing over here? Okay, so we're not going to waste a lot of time, but I am going to give you some information here, what to know today. So today, Patel is supposed to testify. Charlie Kirk, they're talking about the Charlie Kirk investigation. They'll have some Epstein questions. So we are interested to find out what's going on, and we're going to get into it right now. Drop down and let me know who's here. Please be sure to smack that thumbs up. Welcome in, everybody.
Welcome, Mr. Patel, and all the people that are here to observe. This is our annual FBI oversight hearing. We meet today in the aftermath of the political assassination of Charlie Kirk, a school shooting, and the senseless murder of Ukrainian refugees, and also to remember several weeks ago the killings in Minnesota. Charlie Kirk was a man of God, faith, family, and country. I pray for his wife, Erica, children, the whole family. God bless you, Charlie Kirk. I've asked Director Patel for an update today on this matter. As we proceed with the hearing, Director Patel, I'd like to note that you've agreed to one 10-minute round of questioning. That's more time than your predecessor agreed to. When Director Ray appeared before this committee, he left early to go on a family vacation, and he wanted me to think it was business he had to conduct. Since your confirmation, you've been acquainted with the bureaucracy that you must reform and hold accountable. And that's no simple task. You've begun the important work of returning the FBI to its law enforcement mission. According to the FBI, since January 20th of this year, the FBI has been involved in the arrest of more than 23,000 violent criminals. This year, the FBI assisted in the arrest of more than 1,500 child predators and 300 human traffickers. And this year, the FBI helped rescue more than 4,000 children from predators. FBI teams nationwide are working alongside immigration and custom enforcement. This teamwork has resulted in the arrest and removal of a historic number of violent criminal aliens, gang members, and child sex offenders. Those are overwhelming better records than at least two of your past predecessors. During the Ray era at the FBI, the Bureau reallocated resources from child crimes to January 6 work. Director Patel,
Triggers.
You've also moved agents from headquarters to field offices to better assign align with their law enforcement mission. Under your leadership, the FBI has apprehended several most wanted fugitives and secured the extradition of senior leaders of the Central American gangs like MS-13. Now, it's well understood that your predecessor left you an FBI infected with politics. I'm going to provide examples of that today, including making public new whistleblower records. At your nomination hearing, I made public records that whistleblowers provided me about Arctic Frost. Arctic Frost was the FBI case opened and approved by antitrust Trump FBI agent Tebow. Arctic Frost then became Jack Smith's elector case against then Citizen Trump and now President Trump. These new records show that Arctic Frost was much broader than just an electoral matter. The case was expanded to Republican organizations. Some examples of the group that Ray FBI sought to place under political investigation included the Republican National Committee, Republican Attorney General's Association, and various Trump political groups. In total, 92 Republican targets, including Republican groups and Republican-linked individuals, were placed under investigative scope of Arctic Frost. On that political list was one of Charlie Kirk's groups, Turning Point USA. In other words, Arctic Frost wasn't just a case to politically investigate Trump. It was the vehicle by which partisan FBI agents and Department of Justice prosecutors could achieve their partisan ends and improperly investigate the entire Republican political apparatus. So today, Senator Johnson and I are making these records public for the entire country to see.
Definitely my first time hearing about Arctic Frost. Can y'all please smack the thumbs up? We have 373 people on politics. 5 thumbs up. Y'all can do better than that. Please support the content, support the host, and just support the channel, y'all, by hitting the thumbs up and also by subscribing if you have not. But can y'all please, we got 773 people now on the politics side. Let me see how many people. We got 871 people total. Can y'all please smack the thumbs up, whichever side you're listening in on. Leftists are evil. Shout out to Bronze. Welcome in, fam. Thank you for tuning in. We definitely need some help in the chat a little bit. You know, we believe in freedom of speech over here. Just you don't have the freedom to be ignorant in my chat. But, you know, no profanity. If you do, misspell it because YouTube will hold your comments. But, y'all definitely can talk amongst each other, and I'll be tapping into the comments too. But please smack the thumbs up. And thank you to the people that just did.
And I hope a lot of people are interested in seeing what government can do when various agencies have a political agenda. My investigative work.
Mitch, don't tell me what to do. We got to stop it along the way, sir, or ma'am, whichever. But be respectful definitely to the host and in the chat, because if you disrespect me, you will be blocked. I mean, but just talk among each other. We believe in freedom of speech. Just don't be ignorant.
Kirk has also exposed the political way in which Peter Navarro was investigated and prosecuted. When FBI agent Tebow found out that Biden's DOJ would prosecute Navarro, he said, "Wow, great."
Bye, Mitch. I ain't got time for your bullshit.
Through whistleblowers,
I take that back.
Audio recording of Special Agent Giagardina and Special Agent Sebastian Gardner's delivery of a subpoena to Navarro. I'm making that audio public today. In a court document filed by the Department of Justice, Navarro's interaction with the FBI was unfairly described as, quote unquote, the word combative. That intervention with Navarro was just as the justification to later aggressively arrest him. Then we get to the Clinton Annex and the Durham Annex. The Clinton Annex showed that the Comey FBI had evidence necessary to complete the Clinton investigation the one about her mishandling of emails and classified information, but the FBI never did its job because it never reviewed the evidence at that time. The Durbin Annex showed that the Clinton campaign had a plan to falsely tie Trump to Russia, yet the Comey FBI failed to investigate that information. Instead, the Comey FBI used the discredited Clinton campaign-funded Steele dossier to advance Crossfire Hurricane against Trump. Director Patel, thanks in a large part to you, both annexes were finally declassified.
Okay, so I'm still on this Arctic frost thing. So I want to know what it is. It says the term Arctic frost can refer to several different things, including a recent political investigation, a recent project, a type of citrus tree beverage flavor, which we know that's not it. So the political investigations, a recent FBI investigation targeting President Donald Trump was codenamed Arctic Frost. Reports from Senator Chuck Grassley and Ron Johnson allege that the investigation was politically motivated and conducted in violation of FBI rules. The senator claims that the anti-Trump agents and prosecutors exploited the case for political gain by relying on questionable evidence. The case was later incorporated into special counsel Jack Smith's cases against the former president. Okay, we'll go leave it at that.
That may be history, but it's history to make sure we don't repeat the history of the past. And the people ought to be concerned when the weaponization of government is used in this way, whether it's done by Republicans or Democrats. Last Congress, I made public an FBI document called 1023 form that alleged a bribery scheme with the Biden family. To date, the FBI has never answered Congress whether they investigated the text messages, the audio files, and the financial records referenced in that 1023. Whistleblowers have provided my office with 2 additional FBI 1023 documents. These documents memorialize statements from FBI sources. These 2 new 1023 documents are from separate FBI confidential human sources during different years. So in total, we now have 3 different FBI confidential human sources providing information about the Biden family and potential criminal conduct. Today, Senator Johnson and I are releasing these records. Let me say this for the partisan media, the people that are supposed to be policemen of our Republican form of government. We aren't saying the allegations are true. We want to know what the FBI did to fully investigate their veracity or lack thereof and what they concluded. Let's put this matter to rest one way or the other. Starting with my chairmanship, I've given one example after another of disgraceful partisan weaponization by federal law enforcement. Since the Trump administration took power, many FBI agents have been removed. The removal included agents and prosecutors who became partisan weapons that lost their way, and I've made records public to prove it. And many of my whistleblowers were aggressively retaliated against by some FBI agents who were subsequently fired. One FBI whistleblower publicly said of these terminations, quote, ensuring that they no longer work at the FBI isn't retribution, it's responsible leadership, end quote. Which brings me to my final and favorite topic, whistleblowers. In August, 10 of my FBI whistleblowers secured compensation agreement because of your leadership, Director Patel. It included a mix of reinstatement to the FBI, reinstatement of security clearances, and monetary compensation. At the beginning of this month, Another of my FBI whistleblowers got their job back.
Okay, wait, I gotta stop this right quick because I didn't know this about Pam Bondi. So I guess she put out a statement talking about cracking down on the hate speech after Kirk's assassination. So it says Attorney General Pam Bondi. Wait, let me make sure I'm not on mute. Y'all, please smack the thumbs up. But it says Attorney General Pam Bondi announced that the Justice Department will target individuals engaging in hate speech in response to the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Now, he definitely talked about whatever he wanted to, and freedom of speech was the main thing that he was going with. So I mean, I don't know how far they going with it, but let's look at this. There also was a lady that was screaming, saying some crazy stuff about the unaliving of him, just like kind of like, just she didn't care. Okay, she wasn't on his side at all. She said a lot of things. We might even run across that video. She was arrested, they didn't give her a bond and all of this, but it wasn't just because she was talking. She might have been okay with her freedom of speech because it is free, but then it was allegedly some pushing or a tipping of somebody's hat or something. So because of that, they were able to arrest her and not give her a bond. So that's just one of them. And she was out there protesting pretty much, and while everybody else was maybe at a memorial or something, standing around something with Charlie, and the police was standing around too. Y'all might have seen it. But anyway, Attorney Pam Bondi announced that the Department of Justice will target individuals engaging in hate speech in response to the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, who was shot dead on September 11th. September 11th? Wasn't it the 10th? Yeah, it was the 10th, because I remember them pretty much honoring him while honoring the fallen people of September 11th. During a campus event in Utah, authorities initially identified the shooter as a disgruntled conservative supporter, but Pam Bondi attributed the killing to left-wing that's what I don't get, when this guy was from a Republican family. But maybe they got some more information. I don't know. Or they just making him all the way left wing because of the way that he thought. But he was raised a Republican. But anyway, Pam Bondi attributed the killing to left wing radical cited the DOJ investigations into cases like the Office Depot employee refusing to print vigil flyers for Kirk. Whoa, really? I ain't hear about that. Did y'all hear about that? Office Depot employee refusing to print vigil flyers for Kirk. Her statements, which this disguise hate speech from protected speech. What? Have drawn bipartisan criticism, including from conservatives who note that the irony given Kirk's advocacy for unrestricted expression, while legal experts and the ACLU stress that U.S. law protects offensive speech absent imminent harm. Meanwhile, companies such as NASDAQ and MSNBC have fired employees for mocking Kirk's death. So that is where we are with this. Let me see what she's saying right here, right quick. Let's see.
There's free
Hold on.
speech, and then there's hate speech. And there is no place. There's free speech, and then there's hate speech. And there's free speech, and then there's hate speech.
Yeah, it is.
And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie in our society.
That's crazy.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people, so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle.
Man, listen, Charlie has said a lot of direct things to people. And I said yesterday, talking about he wanted execution. You know, he want to see somebody publicly executed, and directly saying that George Floyd died from a heroin overdose or whatever it was, fentanyl, when we seen what happened. But and I'm sure there's been a lot of other things. I just don't know the guy. I mean, I've heard bits and pieces, but come on. I mean, I feel like that should have been talked about prior to his death, because yeah, I mean, come on, wishing death on somebody is a lot. But I don't agree with anybody. I don't agree with it. I would never do it. But damn, you talking about, so laws is about to change behind this. They about to heighten them up, shut people down, shut them up, all that. Wow, that's the power right there. That is the power. That's the difference.
All told, across government agencies, almost 20 whistleblowers have received fixes to their retaliation. Today, you'll get a lot of grief from some members of this committee, but in the short amount of time you've been director, you've corrected whistleblower retaliation, increased transparency more than any other FBI director I've seen, whether that FBI director was appointed by Republicans or Democrats. And I've been around here more than anybody else on this committee. I yield to Senator Durbin.
Thanks, Chairman Grassley, for holding this oversight hearing during a critical period in the history of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. During my 4 years as chair, I held 4 hearings with then
Y'all,
FBI
please smack
Director
the
Wray.
thumbs up.
As a reminder to Republicans who claim the
Freedom of
Biden
speech ain't
administration
free.
weaponized the FBI, President Biden retained Director Wray, a lifelong Republican who was President Trump's nominee for the office. After his second election, in an unprecedented move, President Trump forced out Director Wray and nominated KASH Patel, arguably the most partisan FBI director ever. Director Patel came to the FBI with a political mission, and he spelled it out in writing in detail. He wrote, "Government gangsters, quote, the rot at the core of the FBI is not just scandalous, it's an existential threat to our Republican form of government," end quote. And with the power of his office and the blessings of the president, he attacked the FBI with a vengeance. Mr. Patel had falsely claimed the FBI, quote, was planning January 6th for a year, end quote. He even went so far as to produce a song by the January 6 rioters who violently assaulted police officers in the Capitol. He compiled an enemies list of public servants he called government gangsters, like former FBI Director Mueller, whom Patel called, quote, an utter swamp creature. Former Trump officials who served with Mr. Patel warned us he would weaponize the FBI to protect the president's allies and target his critics. And indeed, Director Patel has already inflicted untold damage on the FBI, putting our national security and public safety at risk. Since January 20th,
Shout out to the over 1,800 people in here. In this 1.5K just on politics, can y'all please smack the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel? Do anybody know how Charlie Kirk felt about hate speech? I'm about to post this right now and let y'all know how he felt about, because he was big on freedom of speech, right? He specifically spoke on hate speech and what it means. So let's I'm gonna put that in. We're gonna keep listening. But y'all, thank you for everybody that is hitting the thumbs up. But please smack that thumbs up by double tapping the screen or hitting the 3 dots upper right to get to the thumbs up button.
the Trump administration has engaged in an unprecedented purge of FBI officials. As we heard from highly credible whistleblowers, Mr. Patel was involved in directing this purge even before he was confirmed, despite his sworn testimony to this committee. It began with terminations and forced retirements of all 6 nonpartisan career officials who run all 6 branches of the FBI, the executive assistant directors. Since then, at least 18 of the 53 special agents in charge of FBI field offices have been removed, along with many other senior officials. Individual agents have been targeted for termination simply due to the work that they were assigned, such as January 6th investigation. In fact, according to former acting FBI Director Brian Driscoll, in a lawsuit filed last week, Director Patel made this very plain, telling Driscoll personally, quote, that his own job depended on the removal of agents who worked on the cases against the president, end quote. And even though he knew, quote, the nature of summary findings were likely illegal. At the same time, Director Patel has installed MAGA loyalists as political appointees in key career positions, including conspiracy theorist Dan Bongino as FBI Deputy Director, the first time in the history of the FBI that this position has not been held by a career FBI agent. Director Patel has also reportedly initiated loyalty test, requiring dozens of officials to sit for polygraph exams and answer inappropriate questions about whether they've made negative comments about him personally. Of course, as is often the case in the Trump administration, the rules apply to thee, but not to me. As we understand it from highly credible sources, key members of Director Patel's senior executive team and others on the 7th floor had disqualifying alerts on their initial polygraph exam. Well, how did they survive? They survived because of a personal waiver by either the director or the attorney general to remain employed by the Bureau. Understand the context.
Can y'all please help me reach my goal of 500 thumbs up by smacking the thumbs up, the 3 dots upper right, and or double tapping the screen. It is free, y'all. It is free. So I'm putting this in right now. This was actually a post that Charlie made back in 2024. Shout out to my BFF in the building. We have a goal of 500 thumbs up right now. Can y'all give me a count of the thumbs up? I mean, I don't even see 100 yet, y'all. Y'all are something else. Hold on. Let me throw this in here. And I want to give y'all time to hit the thumbs up. Thank you to the 102 people that hit the thumbs up on politics. But we have 1.1 K people over there. Can y'all please smack the thumbs up? Please smack that thumbs up, y'all. Now, I would have too many. Let me let this play since I got to do something else.
Next year, political operatives in key positions, given the routine FBI polygraph exam, failed and had to receive waivers to continue their positions. They were lucky to keep their political appointments. They were, but the 5,000 career civil servants the director has so far forced out of the Bureau's ranks were not offered that same courtesy. 5,000. This mass exodus has created a disastrous brain drain, particularly in the fields of cybersecurity, counterterrorism, counterintelligence. For example, my office has received information indicating that cuts to the Bureau's cyber division will cut personnel by half, despite the ever-increasing threats posed by adverse foreign actors. The brain drain is exacerbated by Director Patel's misuse of remaining FBI personnel and resources to focus on other priorities of this administration. According to reports, the 25 largest FBI field offices have been ordered to divert 45% of their agents from their primary missions to work on the mass deportation of immigrants. Just as concerning is Director Patel's plan to hire fewer qualified agents by removing the college degree requirement and reducing new agent training at Quantico from 18 weeks to just 8.
Okay, so there it is. That is what Charlie feel about freedom of speech and hate speech and all that is all in one and is protected by the First Amendment. That's what he said. So basically what Pam Bondi is saying, he wouldn't agree with, you know, if freedom of speech is supposed to be free for everybody, right? not just the, like he said, or whatever he was referring to. But what do y'all think about what Charlie thought about it? Do y'all agree? Do you agree? That's going to be my poll. Do you agree with Charlie? Put a 1 in the chat if you agree. Put a 2 in the chat if you do not. And let's listen at Bondi again.
And there's free speech and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people, so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle.
I am curious to know, what did they change with the Democrats who got attacked? Because I just found out about Nancy Pelosi's husband being hammered, and then it was a couple other ones. It was a judge that lost their life, couple that was shot in their own home. I wonder if they changed anything behind that, because I didn't even know that stuff. I absolutely did not. But yeah, so Charlie said hate speech does not exist legally in America. There's ugly speech, there's gross speech, there's evil speech, and all of it is protected by the First Amendment. Keep America free. So is this part of making America great again? Now he posted this 8:23 p.m. May 2nd, 2024. And a bunch of people reviewed this, watched it and everything. So I just want to know what y'all think about that.
So we have a brain drain and a significant watering down of training. Quite a record, Mr. Patel. As recently fired special agents and others have warned, fast-tracking inexperienced and improperly trained people into critical national security jeopardizes the Bureau's ability to effectively protect America. Director Patel himself had no training or life experience for this position. The result of that incompetence is staggering. For example, after Attorney General Bondi publicly stated in February that the Epstein client list was, quote, sitting on my desk right now to review, that's what she said on Fox, Director Patel diverted more than 1,000 FBI personnel from their critical missions to work on 24-hour shifts reviewing over 100,000 pages of Epstein-related records. These personnel were instructed to flag any records in which President Trump was named. But that review ended in an unsigned memorandum from DOJ and FBI stating simply, there is no incriminating client list, close quote. Director Patel still has not responded to my letter from 2 months ago asking about his role in this cover-up. On the day of the horrific shooting of Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University, Director Patel again sparked mass confusion by incorrectly claiming on social media that the shooter was in custody, which he then had to walk back with another social media post. Mr. Patel was so anxious to take credit for finding Mr. Kirk's assassin that he violated one of the basics of effective law enforcement. At critical stages of an investigation, shut up and let the professionals do their job. Notably, Director Patel recently forced out Special Agent in charge of Salt Lake City, Mayim Saeed, a counterterrorism expert with 20 years experience, who would have led this high-profile investigation. The men and women who serve at the FBI and the American people deserve a director who has the ability and the character to restore the Bureau to its place as the preeminent law enforcement agency. I want to close on a personal note. I came of age in the 1960s. We experienced a number of horrific assassinations, including President John Kennedy, Senator Robert Kennedy, and Dr. Martin Luther King. We are going through a similar period of division and political violence. All of us in public life, on both sides of the aisle, have a responsibility to bring down the temperature and to work to unite the American people. Let's be clear. Republicans are not Nazis and Democrats are not evil, as Mr. Patel has claimed. Democrats are not responsible for the murder of Charlie Kirk, and Republicans were not responsible for the murder of Melissa Hordman. Our political opponents are not our enemies. We are all Americans, and we should be working together to keep the American people safe and protect their constitutional rights. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Would you please stand so I could swear you? Do you affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this committee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. Please be seated and you can give your statement now.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Durbin, and members of the committee. It's an honor to be here with you today as the 9th Director of the FBI. I want to provide by providing a briefing into the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk. It's important that this FBI is transparent as possible without jeopardizing investigations. Charlie Kirk was shot at 12:23 p.m. on September 10th. I think this timeline is critically important. Less than a day later, the FBI at my direction released the first set of images of the suspect that we captured based on our analysis on the ground. Later that evening, while conducting extensive interviews and cell phone analysis, and also flying out evidence response teams and hostage rescue teams and evidence tacticians who were collecting evidence in live time and flying them back to Washington, D.C. in our laboratories for immediate analyses, we were able to extract video from the campus feed, and at my direction at 8 p.m. in partnership and promise to working with the public to bring this fugitive to justice, we released a newly never before seen video of the suspect. We also released new enhanced photos of the suspect. A few hours later, that suspect was in custody pursuant to the interrogation of the suspect's own father, who stated, "When I saw that video that you released, I recognized it was my son, and I confronted him, and he was handed over to lawful law enforcement authorities." That is the FBI working with the public, as I promised, being transparent and providing critical information along the way in the manhunt for the suspect and suspects involved in Charlie's assassination. We received over 11,000 tips in the first 24 hours alone. We received 16,000 submissions to our digital media enterprise and tip lines. That is a large number of material to go through. I want to thank President Trump and the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, for their unwavering support and commitment of resources to this and all investigations. I also want to especially thank our colleagues in Utah, Governor's Office, DPS, and the sheriffs out there. State and local law enforcement partnership has been a cornerstone since I took over at the FBI, and it was no different here. And our teams in Salt Lake City, our SACs out there across the country, our lab technicians in Quantico who raced to complete the evidence analysis so the public could have the answers they need. These people worked through the night without sleep.
We have over 1,000 people in here collectively, right? And most of them, I see 1,000 on the politics channel. Can y'all please smack the thumbs up? We want to get to 500 thumbs up goal while we're on here. Can y'all please help us reach our goal? And also, can you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything? We cover politics and crime. Yeah, so double tap the screen or hit the 3 dots upper right to get to the thumbs up button. Thank you.
For days on end. They are to be commended. They are not to be attacked. And many.
Oh, and also the poll has been dropped. And this is the question. This is what Charlie said. And this is, I posted this because, you know, a lot of laws is about to tighten up on hate speech because of Charlie, according to Pam Bondi. But this is how Charlie feels about it. And some people might be just coming in. So this is what Pam Bondi said.
Target you, go after. There's free speech and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle.
That's across the aisle, she said.
Deserve to be assassinated.
Okay, let's keep going.
More people I don't have time to thank here today. But I do want to thank the American people, especially the mission of the FBI is for them and with them and by, with, and through them. And it's that mission and that ethos that I brought to this investigation and so many others. And that's why that suspect is in custody. We cannot do our job without the American public and credible reporting in the media. And that's why Tyler Robinson is in custody today, about to face charges. The last time I appeared before this committee was in January for my confirmation hearing. I told you then that if I were confirmed, I would provide and do everything I can to provide a safe and secure America. I promise to provide the courageous men and women of the FBI the tools and resources they need to crush violent crime and defend the homeland. I pledge myself to commit to full transparency, oversight, and accountability so we could restore the public's trust in the FBI. That's exactly what I've done. Under this administration, the FBI has arrested more than 23,000 violent criminals. That's more than twice for the same time period from last year alone. 23,000, more than twice from the same time period last year. We've taken over 6,000 illegal firearms off the streets. That number is an exponential increase. We've identified and located more than 4,700 child victims. More than 4,700 child victims have been found by this FBI. That is a 35% increase from the same time period last year. 1,500 child predators have been arrested. That's a 5% increase from the same time last year. 300 human traffickers have been arrested. That's a 10% increase from the same time last year. Over 350 members of Tren de Aragua, foreign terrorist organization, have been arrested, and we have 42 ongoing cases. That is a 250% increase from the same time last year. Those are just some of the things the FBI is doing differently and better because we are leading the mission to crush violent crime and defend the homeland. We have also arrested captured four top 10 fugitives from the FBI's top 10 most wanted list. To put that in perspective, that's the same amount I've captured in 7 months than my predecessor did during the entirety of the Biden administration. Those are real results, and the credit is to the men and women at the FBI. We've been able to achieve these results because the FBI recognizes violent crime doesn't just happen in Washington, D.C. That's why one of my first decisions as a director was to get the people, the Bureau's professional staff, out to the field. And we've done that with great speed. And every single one of your districts and states has received a plus up of FBI personnel, agents, and special operators to the tune of almost 1,000. We did that because crime had unexpectedly and unacceptably exploded across the country. In fact, one of the stats that the American people should thank the FBI the most for is we are on track to have the lowest murder rate in modern American history. The lowest murder rate by double-digit percentages. A major factor in the drop of this violent crime is the FBI's flagship Operation Summer Heat. We use this initiative at the direction of the president and the attorney.
Well, before he get too far into that, okay, so now we have, y'all might already heard this, but Secretary Marco Rubio, they have orders, he's orders visa revoking people's visa for foreigners celebrating Kirk's assassination. So it says the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, announced on September 16th, which is today, 2025, that the U.S. will revoke visas and deport foreign nationals publicly celebrating the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, who was unalived on September 10th. They got it right this time, in Arizona by a lone gunman with apparent political motives. The policy justified as a safeguard for American values against glorification of violence relies on social media monitoring. So they're going to be going after content creators and follow Rubio's earlier revocations, targeting students, protesters, and Chinese students over security issues. Legal experts confirm immigration laws allow such action for threats to public safety amid ongoing investigations into Kirk's death and his upcoming funeral. What do y'all think about that? Now let's hear what he had to say behind this. Let's see.
Of inviting people to visit our country who are going to we are not in the business of inviting people to visit our country who are going to be involved in negative and destructive behavior. Okay, so why should if we invite someone to visit the United States of America as a student, as a tourist, as whatever, then they have the standard they should be held to is very high. We shouldn't be bringing people into this country. We should not be giving visas to people who are going to come to the United States and do things like celebrate the murder, the execution, the assassination of a political figure. We should not. And if they're already here, we should be revoking their visa.
I wonder if they're going to go back and get everybody that was laughing and talking about George Floyd. Because, baby, when I tell you the memes that were created behind George Floyd, and I didn't hear the White House say nothing. So this is very interesting, very, very interesting to me. Let's keep going.
Surging resources to our major and mid-major cities across America, conducting intelligence-based operations
and
to target the worst of the worst,
gaming, get
to
out of my
target the
chat.
gangs, to target the transnational organizations, to target the TCOs, and to target the drug trafficking cartels.
Please get him. I think he on crime.
City by city.
Get the fuck out
There's a lot of work left to be done, but we're off to a great start. Just ask the citizens of Seattle, Miami, Memphis, Charlotte, Chicago, and so many more places. Specifically in New Orleans.
Whoa, hold on. I didn't know that.
There has been an increase in the number of violent crime arrests by an average of 250% for each of them.
A loss of life is a loss of life. I don't support nobody laughing at nobody's death because I don't play with the dead personally, and I don't support it. But I find this very interesting. Eric said Charlie was mocking and laughing at the attack of Pelosi's husband, made a horrible suggestion. Wow, man, it's been a lot. I heard the president say on the mic, has anybody heard about how's her husband doing? Anybody heard? And that's what made me look it up when I seen that. And I just found that out. And matter of fact, I'll play what I seen while we cities.
And there has been a drastic reduction in crime across the board in mid-major cities across this country, thanks to the men and women of the FBI. How are we doing that? We are attacking the drug epidemic. We've seized nearly 1,000 kilograms of meth and cocaine off the streets of America. We've taken over 60.
So that's what you said. So from what I remember, what did this person said? I ain't gonna even read your comment, but from what I remember, George Floyd had a counterfeit bill. They never said he made the bill. You know what I'm saying? It could have just been a bill that he was given. I've gone to the store before and got a counterfeit bill. So do you then deserve to be choked out publicly and then made fun of for years and years behind it, and the gay flag being raised on your back during his protest? That's how, when they got raised, I mean, elevated right off of that man's back. So no, I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right at all what people have done and said about George Floyd, and even, protesting for old boy to get out. I heard that Charlie was the head of that. Do I believe that Charlie deserved what he got? No, because freedom of speech is a part of the First Amendment, right? So you can say whatever you want. The difference between Charlie and a regular person is he's backed by the government. He linked a lot of these people together. He's a very powerful person that I just learned about. And he's powered by by Donald Trump, is what I'm saying. He said this man is like a son to him. I never heard of him before in my life, before September 10th. So I'm still learning some things. I've only heard a few things. It's not only a few things that you need to hear. And so it's just very interesting how everything is changing. Everything is changing behind this, and we'll be watching. We'll just be paying attention to how everything changes and what all unfolds, because this is very interesting. Very, very interesting.
1,600 kilograms of fentanyl off the streets. Maybe one of the greatest achievements we have this year. 1,600 kilograms of fentanyl. That's a 25% increase from the same time last year. To put things in perspective, that's enough fentanyl to kill a third of the American populace, 115 million Americans. We're also going after the companies that manufacture these precursors overseas in places like mainland China and their cutting agents. In fact, this month in Cincinnati, we announced groundbreaking charges aimed at the individuals and businesses responsible for flooding these opioids and their precursors and cutting agents into the streets of America. And for the first time that I can remember, we are charging these businesses and enterprises, not just in America, but in mainland China, and seizing their operational necessity to have money by seizing their cryptocurrency wallets. We're also equally important to protecting the homeland. We know we have a no-fail mission. We're committed to keeping our nation safe from terrorism, cyber attacks, and foreign adversaries. Whether stopping threats inspired by foreign terrorist organizations or lone wolf actors or sponsored by hostile nation states. This year, we've already made nearly 60 counterintelligence arrests. 60 counterintelligence arrests this year alone is a 30% increase from the same time period last year for the CI work at the FBI. I'm proud when we can share our successes, such as when an espionage charge was brought against an active duty U.S. Navy sailor caught spying for the People's Republic of China. But I want the American people to know the FBI is protecting the homeland from foreign adversaries in a way that will never make the news. And a lot of the good work that they do will never be able to discuss in this setting. We're working on cyber threats. We're attacking malware infrastructure, going after ransomware attackers, delivering a new partnership with the private public sector engagements we've taken with the companies who are attacked by these foreign adversaries and nation state actors and individual enterprise rings from around the world. We are combating Salt Typhoon, Vault Typhoon, Flax Typhoon, and so many other ransomware and cyber threats this nation faces. We're also arresting people such as Tajik National in Brooklyn, who is suspected of sending tens of thousands of dollars to support ISIS. We're going after the new form of what I refer to as modern day terrorism in America, 764 crimes that involve harming our children by going after them online, causing self-mutilation, suicide, sexual abuse, and steering them in the wrong direction. Currently, we have 3,500 international terrorism investigations.
Triggers.
Specifically, we have in this country 1,700 domestic terrorism investigations, a large chunk of which are nihilistic violent extremism, NVE. Those who engage in violent acts motivated by a deep hatred of society, whatever that justification they seem is. The FBI has seen a 300% increase in cases opened this year alone versus the same time last year. In the last couple of months, the FBI secured a guilty plea for a man in Tennessee who attacked an energy facility with drones and explosives. We secured the indictment of a violent Sinaloa cartel faction leader in Chicago on narco-terrorism charges. Our folks in Sacramento collaborated with domestic and international partners to secure a guilty plea for a leader of a transnational terrorist organization who solicited the murder of federal officials. But the Bureau's job is not done. I'm committed to this transparency. Mr. Chairman, you alluded to our work with Congress. To date, in the 7 months that I've been FBI director, we have produced 33,000 pages to the United States Congress, 33,000 pages. Just to put that in perspective, my predecessor in his 7-year term issued 13,000 pages to Congress, and his predecessor in his 4-year term issued 3,000 pages to Congress. I've issued 33,000 pages in 7 months, and we're going to keep going. I'm dedicated to restoring the trust that the public has and needs in the integrity at the FBI, and it's being done every day by the men and women of the FBI. Now, I know that there's a lot of talk about Epstein, and I'm here to testify that the original sin in the Epstein case was the way it was initially brought by Mr. Acosta back in 2006. The original case involved a very limited search warrant or set of search warrants and didn't take as much investigatory material it should have seized. If I were the FBI director then, it wouldn't have happened. The search warrants were limited to small time periods to include 2002 to 2005 and 1997 to 2001. Mr. Acosta allowed Epstein to enter in 2008 to a plea and non-prosecution agreement, which then the courts issued mandates and protective orders legally prohibiting anyone from ever seeing that material ever again without the permission of the court. The non-prosecution agreements also barred future prosecutions for those involved at that time of those individuals. Still, this administration, at the direction of President Trump, has done more to turn over all the credible information we are legally able to do so, and we will continue to work with Congress to achieve that end. Under the direction of the president, thank you for your support for our mission to working to jointly deliver transparency and congressional oversight to the United States. Lastly, I want to close with the president's initiative here in Washington, D.C. as an example of what we're doing around the country. And I think our next city is Memphis. 21,000 arrests in D.C. with our federal partners, a huge decrease in violent crime, 60% decrease in gun crimes in Washington, D.C. in the last month, 74% decrease in carjackings in Washington, D.C. in the last month, 53% decrease in homicides in Washington, D.C. in the last month. The drugs are disappearing. People are freely walking around the states, and we're restoring the nation's capital to its glory. That work is through the interagency process that the FBI is proud to be a part of, and the initiative spearheaded by President Trump and the Attorney General. And perhaps most notably for investigations in Washington itself, it was the intelligence that the FBI gathered through our source network here in D.C. that helped us identify the suspects in the horrific murder of the D.C. intern Eric Tarpinian. We're proud to be a part of that investigation. We're proud to put the resources to bear of the FBI.
So it sounds like they bypassing Chicago because they fighting them to not come there. And if they end up, wherever they end up, that just means the governor didn't fight for them not to come. They're allowing it. So if they end up in Memphis, that's what it is. Chicago is fighting it. They don't want them there. And they doing all kind of stuff to prevent them from coming.
And in closing, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee and Ranking Member Durbin, I'm honored to be the 9th director of the FBI. I'm not going anywhere. If you want to criticize my 16 years of service, please bring it on.
Thank you, BFF, for working so hard. I appreciate you. And Bronze, thank you too. Shout out to Blue Lotus. Welcome in. Thank you for liking and sharing. I appreciate that.
I've observed whether it's Republican or Democrat.
Before he get too far into that, okay, so JD Vance has spoke out. We know that he actually hosted. Wait, was it him or? Yeah, JD Vance was the one that hosted. No, it was KASH Patel, I think. But anyway, this is what JD Vance says. It says Vice President JD Vance honored slain conservative activist Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point, on his Kirk's podcast by calling him a joyful warrior and reciting the Nicene's Creed. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. Nicene's Creed to emphasize his Christian faith, while condemning a perceived rise in left-wing political violence and rejecting unity with those excusing the assassination of Kirk, 31, who was fatally shot. Okay, we know that. Let's get to what he's saying. It says Vance, while on the side of the aisle, certainly has its crazies. It is statistically facts that most of the lunatics in American politics today are proud members of the far right. That's what the person said that posted this, but let's see what he's saying out his mouth.
The aisle certainly has, and while our side of the aisle certainly has its crazies, it is a statistical fact that most of the lunatics in American politics today are proud members of the far left.
Oh, that's what he said. Okay, that's what he said. Wow. Well, okay. All right, let's keep going.
It's want a yes or no answer.
What y'all think about that?
The witness and the senators talking over each other. So I thought what I'd do this time, rather than have that happen, if there's something you don't get a chance to
both sides
answer,
are crazy
because of the demeanor of a Republican or
I
Democrat
cannot
senator,
disagree.
before when we get done with that questioner, I'd give you a chance to fill in if there's something you didn't get a chance to say. Since 2019, I've sought greater transparency about Jeffrey Epstein and the government handling of the matter. I've continued to investigate during this Congress. Director Patel, was Jeffrey Epstein an intelligence asset for the United States government or the foreign government? And if so, which agencies or governments?
Anybody can get it, BFF said.
Mr. Chairman, I can only speak to the FBI as the director of the FBI, and Mr. Epstein was not a source for the FBI.
Okay. Would you commit to providing my office with all classified, non-classified records relating to the Epstein matter?
I will commit to providing all records I'm legally permitted to do so.
Release
under
the
court orders.
tapes.
It seems to me that I
What?
accept your answer to my question, but the broader intelligence community ought to answer these questions as well. Victims deserve an answer. Regarding the initial FBI 1023 document that I made public last Congress, that document mentioned 1, text messages, 2, audio recordings, and 3, financial records that allegedly proved a bribery scheme with the Biden family and foreign interests. Regarding those records, did the Ray FBI make any effort to determine whether they existed? Did the Ray FBI make any effort to obtain those records?
Not to my knowledge, Mr. Chairman.
Since this matter hasn't been fully investigated, the FBI has an obligation to the public to do exactly that and figure out why it wasn't investigated. Next question. I've done a lot of oversight relating to sexual misconduct by the FBI agents. In fact, I believe this is something I discussed with Ray, one of his appearances before this committee. According to the FBI Inspection Division, it opened nearly 300 investigations based on sexual misconduct referrals between 2017 and 2024. According to whistleblowers, the Biden-Ray FBI totally dropped the ball on this question. One credible accusation of sexual misconduct is too many, of course. Are you committed to reviewing the Bureau's policies to ensure responsible responses to credible allegations of misconduct, that they're swift and adequately protect victims?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Relating to a similar subject, during child crimes and sexual misconduct
Triggers.
related investigations, are any private sector companies less than cooperative with you? What improvements in information sharing need to be made to catch those criminals?
Mr. Chairman, we can always do better with our private sector companies. I've reached out to the leaders of most of them, asking them to provide more material so that we can be responsive and take legal action and protect the youth of this country. I'm happy to discuss, possible legislation that we can do to allow for these companies to continue.
Yeah. Say maybe 1 inch up on the microphone.
Sorry.
I think you're close enough, but I think it's just a little bit lower. When you raise your head, it's difficult to hear. Director Patel, since 2021, I've raised concerns about the Biden administration failure to properly vet Afghan evacuees. Director Gabbard informed my office that as of August 2022, approximately 1,600 evacuees located in the United States had ties to terrorism and other derogatory information. That's why I and many others have opposed bills giving blanket approval. Are you aware of what steps your predecessor took to investigate these evacuees? And what steps have you taken to investigate them? And what, if any, national security concerns still exist?
Mr. Chairman, I can't speak to the steps my predecessor took, but I will make sure we do a sweeping review and get back to you on that. As far as the Afghan refugees and evacuees, as during my tenure, we are going through the databases to make sure that no known or suspected terrorists enter this country to harm our nation. And also, as my resolve as FBI director, one of the first acts we undertook was a manhunt of one of the Abbey Gate bombers and leaders in that crime spree that killed 13 brave Americans. And within 2 weeks, we caught one of the leaders of the Abbey Gate bomber and brought him to justice here in 2 weeks from Pakistan. And so my commitment to you on Afghanistan in all matters is complete and without border.
Through my and other investigations, we found that the Biden administration lost thousands of undocumented children. We never heard a peep from senators wanting to help find them, even after I invited them to do so. In September 2025, the Trump Health and Human Services announced the creation of an interagency crime coordinator cell to find these and other missing children. That interagency group reportedly includes your agency. What resources and personnel have the FBI assigned to this new interagency effort, and what steps have the FBI taken to assist in locating missing children that the incompetent Biden administration lost?
Protecting our youth is maybe the top priority for the FBI. As it specifically relates to your question, Mr. Chairman, as I stated, we've surged resources not just to this cell, but across the nation to our FBI's field office to locate children who have been trafficked, who have been victims of sexual abuse. And we have located 4,700 children in the 7 months since I've been FBI director.
Triggers.
And that is a 35% increase from the same time period last year. And we're not stopping, and we're committed to doing that work on our tribal lands as well. And we are finding victims of child trafficking and child abuse every county and every district, and we're not going to stop.
Okay. As I mentioned during my opening, I'm releasing documents with Senator Johnson about Arctic frost. Specifically, the documents show its scope expanded to include 92 Republican organizations. From evidence that I've seen, it looks to me like another political hit job against Republicans. What steps has the FBI taken to make sure improperly predicated investigations and weaponizations like this don't happen again?
The simple answer, Mr. Chairman, is the FBI will only bring cases that are based in fact and law and have a legal basis to do so. And anyone that does otherwise will not be employed at the FBI. We are doing a prospective and retrospective analyses of individuals who may have weaponized the department and the agency. And as I've committed to you during my confirmation hearing and my conversations with you, this FBI will not be weaponized anymore in either side of the aisle.
In June of this year, I raised concerns about the FBI's use of restricted access and prohibited access systems. According to the FBI, quote, when search teams that exist in a prohibited access status cases are searched in Sentinel, the particular search will receive a false negative Sentinel search response, end of quote. Clearly, this is not only affects FBI agents, it impacts congressional requests and court cases, and the Biden administration used it to thwart oversight. How are you ensuring that restricted access and prohibited access files are produced to Congress during court cases? And have you identified any Biden family records in restricted and prohibited status?
As I've committed to you with my transparency initiative, whether it's restrictive or prohibited, every single thing we can legally provide to Congress, we will. We've also restructured how these restrictive and prohibited cases are labeled and provided access to more people in the chain of command so that more people have knowledge of what these restricted and prohibited cases are, including myself and the deputy.
Do you commit to providing any records that are available?
I do, sir.
You publicly said that your team, quote, found a room that Comey and others hid from the world in the Hoover building full of documents and computer hard drives no one had ever seen or heard of. That's a quote from you. I've received a whistleblower disclosure that the room contained some information kept outside the FBI record keeping. I also have been informed via a whistleblower disclosure that the room included materials related to Special Counsel Mueller, former Director James Comey, and other documents maintained outside of the FBI. Has the FBI now reviewed and analyzed those records? Has the FBI properly recorded the documents? And these records are clearly responsive to my, as well as my colleagues' congressional requests. What steps have you taken to ensure all responsive records are produced to Congress? That's what has to be my last question.
what's supposed to happen is leadership at the FBI is supposed to, pursuant to the Records Act, correctly store these records at our Information Management Division, IMD. In this room, we found a plethora of hard drives, computers, hard documents, soft documents that were not so recorded, a voluminous amount of information. So we are continuously processing that information. So we subscribe to the Records Act and commit that those records will be kept permanently at the FBI. 2, we are reviewing those materials. A lot of those materials are related to ongoing investigations.
Okay, so, and 3, can y'all please smack the thumbs up? You know what I'm saying? I appreciate everybody tuning in. We have 271 on the politics channel with 190 thumbs up. Can we get 271? We have a goal of 1,000 thumbs up, and we have collectively 560 people in here. So can I get 560 thumbs up, whatever side you're listening in on? And I also want to say thank you to everybody hitting the reactions, everybody tuning in, subscribing, thumbs up, and all of that is free. I greatly appreciate y'all, but we do have a goal. So can y'all please help us reach that goal? Thank you for tuning in. My name is Miss V. We talk about crime and politics.
And 3, we are on a rolling basis providing Congress the documents that we can, and we will continue to do so.
Okay, thank you very much, Senator Durbin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Patel, in addition to the extensive purge of nonpartisan career FBI official reports indicate that dozens of remaining officials have been subjected to polygraph exams to test their loyalty. My understanding is that approximately 40 officials have been asked to sit for a polygraph during your administration, and several have been asked whether they have ever made negative comments about you. Director Patel, FBI agents pledge their loyalty to the Constitution of the United States, not you personally. What is the basis for requiring polygraph exams of your workforce and asking them if they've made negative comments about you?
I don't know what reports you're referring to, Ranking Member, and I reject any reporting that has false information in it, so I'm not going to respond to that. As far as polygraphs go, generally they are always and always have been utilized at the FBI to track down those that leak sensitive information and have unauthorized disclosures to the media, and we will continue to use them to ensure the integrity of the FBI.
Did any individual on your senior executive team, the director's advisory team, or who serve in the positions on the 7th floor receive disqualifying alerts on their polygraphs?
Senator, I'm not going to get into the personnel discussions that were had on a polygraph. Those are private discussions, and many of them relate to ongoing investigations.
Did you or Attorney General Bondi provide any individual with a waiver so they could remain employed after they received disqualifying alerts?
Okay, so I'm looking on the crime side. Come on, y'all. We got 120 tuned in over here with 32 thumbs up. I'm sure y'all can do better than that. So can y'all please, 125, can you double tap the screen or hit the 3 dots upper right to smack the thumbs up? It's very important. And I'm sure that everybody tuning in, you know that. Some people might be working, can't get to it, but can y'all please take a break from whatever you're doing and smack that thumbs up? Shout out to the 219 people tuning in on the politics side with 196 thumbs up. I greatly appreciate y'all. Y'all definitely doing way better than the crime channel that I've had way longer than this channel. So can y'all please smack the thumbs up, y'all? I'm waiting on those numbers to go up. Okay, and I'm a get to this because I ran into something else as I'm looking. I came across this right here. Now, Elon Musk is calling for, people to be in prison and all of this stuff. And I think I seen it at a podcast or something. So let's see what they talking about right here. If I can get back to where I was. Okay. So it says Elon Musk demands streamer Destiny's imprisonment after Kirk's assassination. Do anybody in the chat know of this Destiny person? Shout out to the people on the politics channel with 201 thumbs up. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up, everybody. So Elon Musk demanded the imprisonment of a streamer, Stephen Destiny Bonnell II, on September 16th, which is today. We breaking news over here, okay? So y'all could at least smack the thumbs up for that. So after Bonnell's live stream, comments suggested conservatives should fear violence at events to curb their rhetoric. Following the September 10th assassination of Kirk. So, hold on. All right, let's see. Okay, so the thing that I have put up here. Breaking: Elon calls for top wing streamer Destiny to go to prison for incitement of murder and domestic terrorism on felony charges. He can resume streaming when he has served his term. Let him say what he wants, but then also pay the price under the law. Destiny said, "You need conservatives to be afraid of getting unalived when they go to events. Right now, they don't feel like there's any fear." And he said he should be in prison for that. Well, this is what Charlie felt. So they fighting for Charlie, but Charlie felt like this. And that's what the poll is connected to. I'm like, what the heck, man? What? I don't doubt that they can change the laws and do whatever they want, because things is definitely happening. Things are definitely happening. And again, we do not support violence, hate speech, or none of that. Really, we don't. Not over here. But if y'all, let me see who has all answered the poll. Okay, so I mean the votes are going up. All speech protected under the First Amendment. So yeah, y'all do agree that all speech is protected under the First Amendment. The reason why we even have that is because of what Pam Bondi said, that, you know, some heads is about to roll behind talking bad about him. They about to really crack down on hate speech. And I know that also YouTube has a rule against that. They do. They changing it up. It's always been that. But yeah, that's, you know. Shout out to the 75 people that voted. I mean, the 91 people that voted so far. And again, it was in reference to this post that Charlie made, comparing it to what Pam Bondi is saying. He feel like all speech is protected under the First Amendment, and they're feeling like, no, you need to go to jail for saying this about Charlie. Let me see. Y'all probably ain't budged over there. Let me see what we looking like. Wait a minute. So hold on. Something else just happened. Well, anyway, for the people that didn't hear what Bondi said.
No place. There's free speech and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people, so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle. There's free speech.
It is across the aisle, she said. It is across the aisle. We'll be paying attention to what happens.
Alerts on their polygraphs.
I'll have to get back to you.
You don't remember that?
No, sir. My priority is protecting the American public, not getting into the weeds of polygraphs.
And to have a decent memory when you come before a committee.
I'm happy to talk about all the good work the men and women of the FBI are doing, including provided the lowest crime rate in American history. If you want to talk about how to protect the citizens, Chicago has seen a 30% reduction in its murder rate because of the men and women of the
And you
FBI.
take credit for that?
I'll happily do that.
You
The
take credit?
interagency partners and the men and women of the Chicago PD have never been more
include
powered.
local law enforcement, please.
Have you ever seen my testimony across this country where I always lead with our interagency partnerships with state and local law enforcement? It is the pillar of what I am doing. And on the 7th floor, for the first time in FBI history, I have installed police officers and sheriffs right on my 7th floor to report to us every day what's going around the country on the street level, because that is a priority of the FBI and is the only way we are going to work. I don't take credit for anything, but I will defend the men and women of the FBI and the cops that help us get it done.
You should. Director Patel, to your knowledge, did a whistleblower ever make a disclosure to Attorney General Bondi indicating that the New York field office was withholding Epstein-related records?
I'm not familiar with that whistleblower.
You know that there was such a whistleblower?
I'm not familiar with that whistleblower.
In response to the blowback she received, Attorney General Bondi also pushed the FBI to review approximately 100,000 Epstein-related records on an arbitrarily short deadline in March, and the FBI was directed to flag any documents that mentioned President Trump. Nothing came of that review until July, when DOJ and FBI released an unsigned memorandum stating there is no incriminating client list. Why was this July 7th memorandum unsigned?
Would you prefer I've used AutoPen?
Why was it unsigned?
The memorandum had the insignia of the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And in our effort to secure transparency for the American people, because the 3 prior administrations had not done so, we conducted an exhaustive search of everything related to the Epstein cases, and we produced what was legally and permissibly able to be produced to Congress and the American public.
So
And there was a congressional subpoena, and we're continuing to do so.
You personally direct that investigation so that you would sign such a...
Did I personally direct what investigation?
Of the Epstein records for any reference to President Trump?
Again, you are citing reporting that I think is baseless. We conducted an investigation of the Epstein case files pursuant to the direction of the President of the administration to provide all credible information. And we are working with Congress pursuant to a congressional subpoena to turn over all the documents we can. All individuals.
Who at DOJ and FBI was responsible for its drafting and conclusions?
Many individuals at the Department of Justice and the FBI are responsible.
There was no lead person?
The Attorney General leads the Department of Justice and I lead the FBI.
So the Attorney General is responsible for that?
The Attorney General leads the Department of Justice.
Director Patel, much like you, Deputy Director Dan Bongino was a conspiracy theorist who built a lucrative career making inflammatory and unsubstantiated statements about the FBI that would be disqualifying in any administration that cared about nonpartisan law enforcement. For instance, Mr. Bongino called the placement of pipe bombs outside the DNC and RNC headquarters on January 6, quote, an inside job, and went on to say this was a setup. I have zero doubt, and whoever goes into the FBI, you better get an answer about why. Director Patel, you and Deputy Director Bongino are now leading the FBI. What is the evidence to suggest the pipe bombs placed outside of the DNC and RNC on January 6 were an inside job?
I appreciate the opportunity to discuss Director Bongino's mind record.
Interesting.
So many on this committee and the media jettison our 31 years of public service.
Can you answer the question, sir?
I'm answering the question. You're questioning the integrity of the Deputy Director of the FBI and mine. And I'm going to answer the question. The pipe bomb investigation is ongoing, and I'm not going to discuss the details of the pipe bomb investigation. Mr. Bongino was a Secret Service agent for 15 years, a police officer for 5. I served this country in multiple administrations for 16 years. We were also private citizens, and we are now back in government service. And what we have the ability to do is set aside our personal beliefs to deliver the mission of justice for this country, and we're doing it day in and day out. And I find it disgusting that everyone and anyone would jettison our 31 years of combined experience that is now at the helm of the FBI, delivering historic results at historic speeds for the American people.
So you have no evidence?
I got a lot of evidence, and I'll give it to you when I can.
Yeah, looking forward to it. There's a New York Times story this morning about Chris Meyer. As I understand it, he was your personal pilot, at least for some period of time. Mr. Meyer has quite a record himself. Flew over 350 hours as an Air Force pilot on 3 aircraft types in Afghanistan. Mr. Jardina, another former FBI agent, a 1999 graduate of U.S. Naval Academy, commanded 100 Marines in combat during the 2003 invasion of Iraq, participated in several firefights, followed up with 2011 deployment as reservist to Afghanistan, where he interrogated senior Taliban officials. It appears that you terminated these two agents. Why?
I'm not going to get into personnel decisions that we made.
So you're not accountable for your decisions to take people who served our country so admirably and terminate them without any cause?
That's a one-sided story. Anyone that has been terminated from the
tell
FBI,
your
generally
side
speaking,
of the story.
fail to meet the needs of the FBI and uphold their constitutional duties. And you providing a one-sided story from your perch is absolutely disgraceful, because the men and women of the FBI deserve better. And your attack on the current leadership of the men and women of the FBI is equally disgraceful, because now you're attacking the leaders that are our brave SACs in the field who are doing the job that this country needs.
It's disgraceful.
And we will continue to do it.
Excuse me, it's disgraceful when Mr. Meyer and Mr. Jardina, who served our country so well, are terminated apparently because of the rants of a broadcaster.
That is your opinion. It is not a fact.
Well, it's certainly my opinion. I can back up with fact. Let me ask you to explain the situation.
Show us the facts.
Did you read the story about the termination of the project in Baltimore?
Release the tapes.
Which story?
764 group.
Sorry. Which story?
764 group. The Baltimore agents were investigating. Are you familiar with that?
No, sir.
Well, I'm not going to go into detail. It would take too long to do it. But apparently that this group, 764, a nihilistic, violent extremist group, seeks to blackmail children to perform vile acts on a camera, under investigation by Baltimore, which was terminated by you. I'd like you to respond in writing, if you will, as to the circumstances of that termination.
Sure. Our operations against NVEs, as you're referring to, has been historically high, and we've taken down multiple NVE rings, including 764 rings, who are harming children and causing them to be mutilated. And
last question: can you explain why you are eliminating the requirements for a college degree for your agents?
I appreciate the opportunity to address that. You said in your opening statement, we are reducing the training requirements at Quantico. We are not. We are expanding them. You are referring to an 1811 crossover program, because I believe the men and women of places like the DEA, the ATF, and the Marshal Service and the Secret Service who want to work at the FBI should deserve that opportunity in a shortened bridge program, which we provided. We are also keeping the 18-week BFTC as is traditionally been held at the FBI. So we're not reducing any requirements. We are increasing those that we bring into the FBI.
Did you change any of the requirements on college degrees?
We are allowing police officers who have served for a number of years to come into the FBI who did not obtain the requisite college degree to apply to be federal agents, because we feel they have the street level experience we need to conduct this mission.
I yield, Mr. Chairman.
I have to respond to this business about you not treating employees properly, because I served under the previous administration when Democrats willingly turned a blind eye to Biden administration retaliation against my whistleblowers. They didn't get due process when their careers and lives were upended. I'm talking about people like Dina Perkins, Jeffrey Veltri, Timothy Dunnan were removed from their positions. Several whistleblowers were reported that they targeted FBI employees for their political beliefs by suspending and revoking security clearances. One FBI whistleblower said that Perkins, Vetri, Dunnan, and other FBI leaderships were, quote, responsible for what happened to me and my family. Ensuring that they no longer work at the FBI isn't retribution, it's responsible leadership. Another whistleblower that is a registered Democrat said they spoke out against abuses in security clearances processes committed by FBI senior leaders, particularly Veltri and Perkins. Then Perkins and Dunnan suspended their security clearances and put them in unpaid leave. I'm going to put some more examples like this in the record so I don't take up a lot of time for my colleagues. Senator Graham.
Thanks, Senator. Welcome to the committee. The numbers sort of speak for themselves.
We're going to take a moment to pivot over here. As y'all can see, there's been a young black male hung at a Delta University. His name was Trey Reed. Let's see what this guy is saying about him. This is ridiculous. Do we hear anybody talking about this yet?
Found hanging. Today, a young black man was found hanging from a tree. His name was Trey Reed. And 7 a.m. this morning at Delta State University in Mississippi, they said that he killed himself. The sheriff's department said there was no foul play, yet his arm and his leg were broken. Trey Reed was hanged right next to the pickleball courts in the middle of Delta State University. And the school didn't file any type of emergency shutdown.
Wow.
Yeah, class was canceled, but nothing else happened.
Wow.
This type of violence against black and brown bodies is so normalized that all they feel they have to do is cancel class for the day. Now, if you're more upset by the unaliving of Charlie Kirk than you are by the lynching of Trey Reed and the countless before him, something's wrong with you. You need to assess. You need to internalize. You need to look within. Tomorrow, tonight, you need to figure out why you're racist. If you're righteously angry, as we all should be, no matter what you look like, don't allow these motherfuckers to pacify your rage and tell you what to do with that energy. Rest in power, Trey Reed. Today.
Wow. What do y'all think about that? That's crazy. Now, wow. And we do want to make it clear that this has been going on. Jelani Day. I mean, not Jelani Day, but yeah, he was found in water, but we know that they did it. We have Javion McGee in North Carolina that I covered and interviewed his parents. So we know that it happened and the things that happen behind it. The folks that go down behind it, nothing. It just ends up being said that they did it to themselves. Now, I did see, and I just heard him say that both, his arms. I heard somebody earlier say his arms, both his arms and legs was broke, or at least one of them. He was beat up and all kind of stuff. But this is the kind of stuff that they do and never admit that it was somebody else that did it. Was there no cameras on this university? I mean, look how quickly we're here. This don't solve nothing. It ain't going to bring him back. It ain't going to bring neither one of them back. Taking him is not going to bring the one back. This wasn't even black on. This wasn't even had nothing to do with black folks at all. This is the person that took this man out right here. Let me go to this video to see what they saying. Where we at? We should be good right there.
Tonight, there are unanswered questions in the hanging of a Delta State University student. Good evening. I'm Megan West.
And I'm Troy Johnson. A 21-year-old found hung in a tree on campus early this morning. That body found around 7 o'clock by a faculty member. The discovery led to all classes being canceled. The family of the victim, Trey Reed, described him as a quiet, light, sweet, and well-mannered person. They are asking for prayers tonight as Delta State students react to the unsettling news of his death. Authorities say the body of 21-year-old DeMartavian Trey Reed was found hanged from a tree by a faculty member near the pickleball courts. Word spread quickly throughout the Cleveland campus, leaving students and others concerned and worried.
Well, because I am a Black student, hearing that happened to another Black student, it really made me feel, it's make me feel unsafe. I do have to walk to class, and I like to go walk on the track, and it would be happy to know like what happened.
Delta State University Police Chief Michael Peeler says investigators found no evidence of foul play.
But pending an investigation, further investigation, and also from the medical examiner's office, we won't have more information until that part has been done.
And members of Reed's family are insisting on a thorough investigation.
Please, 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 please do your research on this. Do not let them sweep nothing else under the rug. Enough is enough.
DSU police requested assistance from the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation, Bolivar County Sheriff's Office, and Cleveland Police Department. Meantime, students hope they can get answers about Monday's shocking and unsettling discovery.
I'm a nursing student. I have to walk early mornings or wherever the case may be. So it's just about just knowing what happened and knowing how to move on. How to move. You know, continue to try to be out and be seen and be noticed, or if it's probably safer to stay in your room, and you know, like, we just need to know how to move. Or do we need to go home?
You might
Well,
need
no
to go
schools in
home.
the area were put on lockdown. Police
Yeah.
say there is no ongoing threat to campus safety at Delta State.
I mean, you ain't safe on the university. So, okay, so this happened to Charlie on the university, and this happened to him in the middle of a university, and ain't nobody see nothing, right? I'm gonna say
They're
less
requiring
right now.
everybody to
Hold on, we
pass
ain't trying
the
to
1811
go to the
standards at
beginning.
BFTC.
Dang it, we trying to go where we was at.
Your own testimony to that grand jury. Since then, that chief judge that you mentioned, Judge Boasberg, has written, and I'm quoting him here, Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 6E allows witnesses like PATEL to divulge the contents of their testimony, meaning that nothing was preventing him from doing so before the committee. Can we confirm here today that there is no court order of any kind that limits your ability as a witness before the grand jury to discuss your own testimony to that grand jury?
We can confirm that pursuant to my action, that grand jury testimony has been released, the transcript.
Let's
Can I get the 183 people on the crime side to please double tap the screen? The thumbs up is very important, and or hit the three dots upper right to get to the thumbs up button. Thank you to everybody that's voting on the poll too. Thank you to everybody that's listening in, and special thanks to the people that are actually hitting the thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. Thank you to the 220 people or 221 people that, or 226 people who has hit it on the politics side. Thank y'all for understanding English and the importance of it. And crime ain't but. I think one person just hit the thumbs up. So we got 46 thumbs up on the crime side. We have 163 people tuning in. And y'all got 46 thumbs up. Can y'all smack the thumbs up, please? Shout out to the politics channel at 264 tuning in and now 228 thumbs up. Thank y'all so much for getting it. I appreciate y'all.
in what forum was it released, may I ask?
Publicly.
Okay, we'll check on that. The FBI does background investigations. In the case of a U.S. attorney, Janine Pirro, it has come to light that in a civil proceeding, that Fox News executives, prior to her confirmation, called her, I'm quoting here, a reckless maniac who makes, quote, insane comments, and said, I don't trust her to be responsible, and noted her penchant for what they called random conspiracy theories on weird internet sites. My question to you is, did that turn up in her background investigation?
For any background investigation, Senator, we do not discuss those publicly. And for every background investigation, when there's adjudication, it is not made by me. It is made by the career professionals who run the inspection division and background check system.
Do you know if that information was found? You see, we're an oversight body here, and there are really three possibilities here. One is that the FBI background investigation didn't find that stuff. That's worth noting because these investigations, full field background investigations, are supposed to find that stuff. That's possibility one. Possibility two is that the FBI did in fact find that information and then did not report it to the administration or to the committee. And the third is that you found it, you reported it to the administration, and they went ahead with her nomination knowing that she had been described as a reckless maniac who made insane comments, who wasn't trusted by colleagues to be responsible, and who had a penchant for random conspiracy theories on weird internet sites. Are you saying that this committee does not have any authority or reason to look into which of those things is true?
This committee can look into anything it wishes. I'm telling you that the background investigations that are done by the HRD division are done by career individuals. They do not report the details of those to me. They adjudicate those independently and individually. That's how it's always been done.
What happened to during the pause of FBI background investigations that was alleged in the complaint against you and the FBI by the FBI agents who were terminated? On February 12th, Emil Bovee directed the FBI, quote, to pause any FBI background investigations of Trump nominees until PATEL was confirmed, which happened on February 20th, is the general description of what they alleged. Why, do you know, were background investigations paused? Was it so material like this could be scrubbed out of them? And have they been resumed without that pause fully and normally after your arrival on February 20th?
I can speak to the time period since I got there. Background investigations have been ongoing across the board at the FBI.
Why was the pause, do you know?
I was not there.
Wasn't explained to you when you got there? Oh, by the way, boss, they've had an 8-day pause on background investigations. You think that would be something that would be explained to you at some point?
Again, I leave it to the men and women at the HRD division to run background investigations. I do not interfere with them.
I get that. But what I don't get is whether you were told about that pause, and why would you not be told about that pause?
I don't recall that, sir.
All right. The allegation also relates that part of the employee review of senior staff was whether or not they voted for Kamala Harris in the 2024 election. Since when is who you voted for a proper question for agents to be asked?
I don't know what allegation you're referring to, Senator. If it's from an ongoing matter in litigation, I can't discuss that. But what I can discuss is I can only speak to the FBI's background investigations. There are other background investigations conducted across the government. I can only speak to mine.
So just to clarify, I'm not talking about the FBI full field background investigations. I'm talking about internal employee reviews for promotion, for termination, for job actions of various kinds. And my question to you is it now the policy of the FBI to ask agents who they voted for, and since when is who agents voted for a proper question for the FBI to ask?
Taking those in reverse order, it's not a proper question, and it's improper to allege that I'm doing that. And also at the FBI specifically, under my leadership, we do not ask who you voted for. And just one correction for the record, if I may, Senator, it's Security Division that runs background investigations, not HRD.
Okay, I'll accept that correction. And in the event that we cannot locate your grand jury transcript, just expect a question for the record that will give you the chance to either provide that transcript again if it had been previously provided, or to make the statement that Grand Jury Rule 6E allows you, to the best of your recollection, truthfully, about what it is that you told that grand jury. Do you understand that?
That's why I wanted the transcript released, and we'll get it to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman.
I think I want to take an opportunity when we hear about your political weaponization to remind my Democratic colleagues that what's happened the last decade, federal law enforcement, intelligence community, even when Trump was president, has thrown everything at him. They've even gone after his associates and Republican Party organizations. One investigation after another, one prosecution after another. I use examples you've heard me already say today: Crossfire Hurricane and Arctic Frost. These were all built on defective foundations of political bias. And then we released the Clinton Index and the Durham Index and the FBI's failures to investigate. So I've been acquainted with this because I've been trying to get to the bottom of it, and we had to get a new FBI director to get all this information, Senator Cornyn.
Director Patel, welcome. Thank you for your willingness to serve in this very challenging position. How many people work for the FBI today?
Approximately 36,500, give or take.
I've always wondered whether an organization that big and that diffused all across the nation was actually capable of being managed. Have you experienced any surprises in terms of as the director, in terms of your management of the organization?
In my experience, Senator, the leaders in the field are supposed to lead. So we have empowered, and we've changed the structural operation of the FBI to empower SACs in the 56 field office, 55, 56 come 1 October, to lead the mission. We've also empowered the respective assistant directors and operational directors to lead the mission. That is how you manage 36,500, 37,000 people. No one or two people can do it. And that's been the transition, is the power structure is being pushed out to the field operations.
It sounds like a very practical way to approach it. And how is morale?
Morale, when I travel around the country, in my experience, has never been higher. The FBI and the police officers that we work hand in glove with across this country are excited to do the work. And the stats that I'm citing are no achievement of mine. The stats that I'm citing in the 7 months that I've been there, such as a 42% increase in cyber arrests alone this year, is because the men and women at the FBI have been empowered in the field. They want to do the work. They're getting the opportunity to do the work. And with our great partners in the respective states like Texas, and where we just returned a top 10 most wanted fugitive in Cindy Singh, are getting the ability to make those prosecutions a reality.
By the way, Senator Durbin was asking about polygraphs. Aren't polygraphs a standard part of the standard test given to people with security clearances across the intelligence community?
They are.
As a condition to maintaining your security clearance?
I believe they are.
Speaking of intelligence, one of the things that I've wondered about over time is, you know, the FBI is a premier law enforcement agency in the nation, but you also have other important responsibilities in counterintelligence. And there's been different debates or people wondering whether, including me, whether that's an appropriate role for the FBI to play. And I guess the most challenging part of that is, if it's not at the FBI, where would it go? But can you, given your background, I know as working on the HIPSI and your intelligence background, can you talk a little bit about what you think about the counterintelligence role of the FBI agents and how that's working, whether you think it's performing the way it should, or whether there are other changes or reforms need to be made in order to improve its functioning? As you know, the threats from our adversary nations are just proliferating every day. So what do you think?
The espionage activities of our adversaries have never been so high. And I think the counterintelligence mission is properly housed within the FBI because we've been vested with those authorities for Congress. And I believe that mission set is working. And if I can, sir, since January 20th of this year, the FBI has made 55 arrests on the counterintelligence mission alone. That's a 30% increase in CIRS from the same time year to date last year. We've arrested 33% increase in people.
Okay, shout out to everybody in the building. We have 639 people here. Shout out to the 320 and the 245 thumbs up on the politics channel. So with that being said, we gonna end right here, but another live stream is about to pop up and we gonna continue this on the stream. So you don't have to go anywhere. You can stay right here and hit the next live stream that pop up. Shout out to everybody in the building. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back, y'all.